My motivation for doing Staying Strong was simple. It is one of the things that is my biggest pet peeve in life. Women are afraid of weights. They have in their head that somewhere along the line, they were going to look like a muscle woman or a muscle man. And so they shied away from the weights. And what happens is that it's simple fact of life that as we age, and age isn't old, age is over the age of 30, we start to lose muscle mass every single year. If you don't use it, you lose it. So you think about a decade of losing muscle mass when you're 40. Then another decade when you're 50. And what happens? Not only does your metabolism start slowing down, but all of a sudden things become more difficult. Everything from picking up the kids, walking up a flight of stairs. So women started complaining to me and saying, I can't do this, I can't do this, I have a sore back. Guess what? You have to strengthen it. I have sore knees. Guess what? You have to strengthen your legs. So strength kept coming up over and over again. And I thought, you know, I have to make it okay for women to understand if you're 40, if you're 50, if you're 60, if you're 70, you need to be doing strength training exercises. We have people, and studies show that if you start a strength training program, even when you're 75 years old, you can double your strength in 8 weeks. Lifestyle is what keeps you going in the long run. And lifestyle, it becomes a daily thing of how do you keep yourself energetic, strong, feeling good? Because what I've seen, and I have to tell you, it saddens me what's happening with so many people in the country and with diabetes and with heart disease and with arthritis. You go down the list of almost every single ailment out there, and you know what the number one thing a doctor is going to tell you for all those diseases that I've just mentioned? Start working out, start training, start doing weights. And I have to tell you, it's one thing that any person, I tell every woman in America, you better have not one, but 2 sets of dumbbells underneath your bed somewhere, because it's so simple. You give me 15 minutes a day, I can keep you strong. I can keep you in the game. And I can keep you in the game of life. And listen, that's all it's about. It's about staying strong and active forever. Being ageless is about having energy and how your body moves throughout the day. So when you get flat, when you get burned out mentally and physically, it shows in your posture, it shows in your face, it shows in your eyes. The light has gone out of your body. So this agelessness is about keeping light and vitality and a bounce in your step and just being creative about life. And I have to tell you, the people that I know that work out, that make the attempt to getting up in the morning, putting on the DVD, working out, getting that energy flowing through their system, they attack life, they go through life, and they just have a much better mental attitude. So much about the body affects the mind. The reason I got involved with exercise is because I lost my parents when I was a teenager. And losing my parents, I started running, and I realized that connection between mind-body, that what you do with your body affects your mental attitude. And as you age, that becomes more and more important. To maintain that aliveness and that mental attitude and that clarity, it's so important to work out. Staying consistent is the key to getting results. So to stay motivated, I always tell people, when you get to the end of your workout, take a moment to notice how you feel. It's all about mindfulness, noticing that when you get done with the workout, you feel like $1,000,000. Take a hold of that feeling, hold on to it. So the next day when you get up and you're groggy and you don't want to turn the alarm, you don't want to get up early, think about how you're going to feel at the end of the workout, and that feeds on itself. The second thing is, get a community of other people, other like-minded people. It's always hard to do something on your own, but if you have a girlfriend, if you have your kids, if you have your spouse, if you have somebody that you can call up and say, did you just do your DVD? I did it. I really like to empower people, and exercise and fitness helps to empower people. You start to feel good about yourself. It improves your self-esteem, and that feeds itself. That helps to motivate you. So I created Total Body Turnaround because everybody was asking me this, Kathy, okay, what can I do in 20 minutes? For some of the main problem areas and the main questions I was getting was about weight loss, balance, and energy. Every single person that I know has an issue with maintaining their energy. Throughout the day, you know, we're all stressed out, and especially as you get older, your energy starts to get a little bit lower and lower, especially throughout the day. So to have a pick-me-up, to have something where it feels like I've had not a cup of coffee. For me, I drink green tea, but to have a cup of green tea, but instead of the green tea, I can do this energizer where I wake everything up. And when you get done, I look at, to me, when I look at an animal, when I look at a cat, I love to see them where they stretch and they come up and you go like this, oh, it feels so good, and you're done with it and you just feel yummy all in your body, and I love that, and that's total body energy. Now balance, I created because, you know what, it's become a real crisis in our country where people, this idea of falling and people losing their balance. And again, it's one of these things that after the age of about 40, you start to lose that ability to balance as well. And it gets worse and worse as we age. You have to practice. If you don't practice, then simple things like walking down the street, you trip, but you can't catch yourself. Or you just find that when you're doing your sports or those other activities, it's a little harder. And then what happens? You stop participating in life. And this is a thing I see over and over again. You don't want to go to the pool. You don't want to go off the diving board. You maybe don't want to go play sports. I'm not going to go for a hike because the terrain's uneven, because I don't have the balance anymore. So people stop doing those kind of things and their world becomes smaller and smaller. I'm all about keeping everybody's world big to be able to enjoy everything in life. And then the last part of total body turnaround is total body circuit. And I created this because this is the way I love to work out. I love to tone, strengthen, and burn calories at the same time. None of us have a lot of time in life. And in 20 minutes, if I can burn calories, boost my metabolism, and tone every single muscle from head to toe, now that is something that I keep coming back to. And that's the way that I love to train. So that's why I thought I'm going to give people the way that I love to train in the areas that everybody's asking for: energy, balance, and weight loss. Well, balance is a great word because it represents a lot of things. We have the physical balance where you have to stand on one leg and make sure that you keep your core engaged. But then you have this balance that I've kind of always struggled with, I have to say, with my life, because I like to do a lot of things. But I find that it's real important to spend the time to get centered and get balanced because, again, it keeps you energized, it keeps you focused, and it keeps you enjoying life. Anytime our life gets out of balance, you start to get stressed out, you're doing too much, you're not giving yourself enough, you're not nurturing. You know, women are always giving to other people. And I love it when you're on the airplane and they say, okay, in case of a crash, when the mask comes down, put yours on, and then put your child's on. Because the fact is, if you don't put your mask on, your poor child doesn't have you around. And that's what I'm always talking to women about. You gotta take care of yourself because the women of the world are the nurturers, the mothers, the givers, the grandmothers, and everybody needs us. And the fact is, we're giving, giving, giving all the time. And sometimes it's just time to take the time to energize, to feel good, so that when you go out in the world, you can be the very best that you can be for everyone else around you. When I was a teenager, I was walking down the beach in Waikiki and I saw Paul Bragg. Now, Paul Bragg, you might have heard of Bragg's amino acids. Paul Bragg was very much into the Whole Foods movement way before everybody else. And I saw him on the beach. He was about 90 at the time. And there was Waikiki, and there was a group of women around him. Now, I was 16 at the time, but I looked over at Paul Bragg, and he had so much light, so much energy, so much vitality, and he was doing some calisthenic type things on the beach and breathing and talking about prana and about air, and it piqued my interest. And I thought, wow, that man's pretty amazing. So he was the one that piqued my interest. Again, I went through trials during my teenage years, losing my parents, and that was a time when running and Dr. Ken Cooper. Now, Dr. Ken Cooper is the granddaddy of aerobics. So he's the one that actually coined the term aerobics. And basically, aerobics means with oxygen. So anaerobic is without oxygen, aerobics is with oxygen. And Ken Cooper, Dr. Cooper, who has the Cooper Institute in Texas, but years ago, he was the one that came out and said, your heart is a muscle. You have to work that muscle. So that's the muscle that you have to work to keep it strong. And I always do this with kids. I tell kids in class, I go to a class and I say, okay, I want you to take your hand right now. This is your heart. Okay, now pretend like you're sleeping right now. Heart has to keep beating. Pretend like you're running. Your heart goes faster. Pretend like there's a good-looking guy that just came in the room. It goes really fast. And the thing is, your heart's always working. You have to keep it strong. But back in the 60s, that wasn't the case. You had a heart disease, they told you to bed rest. They told you not to climb a flight of stairs. You better not even have too much sex because it could hurt your heart. Ken Cooper was the one that came out and said, to have a strong heart, we have to work our hearts. And he was the one that coined the term aerobics, and that's what got people running, and that's what got people out. And he started doing all the tests on aerobics. Well, that was the year that I worked with Dr. Scaff, and I ran my first marathon in 1975. So in 26 miles, I trained with this group of 26 heart patients who have had bypass surgery, and they were out there running for the marathon. I trained with them, and I learned a lot of lessons during that marathon. It was one of the lessons that you learn that by putting one foot in front of the other. I think the biggest lesson I learned, because I was running in Hawaii, and it was Waikiki, and you had to go out and back. So you had to go over Diamond Head on the way out, on the way back on the 18th mile, you hit Diamond Head again. And I was going up this hill, and I thought, oh my God, I'm never gonna make it. And some guy who ran by me right at that time said, you know, Kathy, don't think about the finish line. Just think about putting one foot in front of the other, just one foot. And for the next 6 miles, it was just one foot in front of the other. And that became kind of a metaphor, a whole thing with my life, because I realized that if you forget about the finish, you forget about the losing weight, you forget about all the, you know, all the end point, you stay in the moment. And by staying in the moment and getting present, you can get so much more accomplished. And it's the thing that I've helped try to teach people forever. It's like, that's how I stay motivated. It's getting present here and now. Just get it done and stop worrying about the end result. So anyway, Ken Cooper and Dr. Scaff were what got me involved with aerobics. Then this is a very great story. So then I got to LA. And I'm in LA. I've run the 26 miles. I get to LA. Oh my God, the air quality. I can't run outside all the time. I'm used to Waikiki Beach. So the woman next door to me that I lived in Santa Monica had a leotard line, like what I have on here, except it was body designed by Gilda. And Gilda said she had a studio in Century City. So I went to the studio, and it was a class with music. And we started doing these arm circle things like this. And on this side of me was Jane Fonda, and this side was Barbra Streisand. And the two of them were in a class together, and I thought, this is the coolest thing. There was no aerobic component, though. So it was exercise to music, but it was all old-time calisthenics, no aerobics. So I took my love of music, my love of aerobics, combined it, and started teaching a class. And that's where I, that really, launched into DVDs and exercise albums.